to another live stream, and this evening we have got Lisa with the Costa del Sol Chatter, and Arturo's joining us again this evening. Lisa, Arturo, welcome.
Hello, hi Bill.
How is
Always looking forward to the first Thursday in every month. There is something lively to talk about.
Indeed, how's life treating you both?
Well, it's been very good. I had an enormous hangover last Thursday, though, due to some
No,
Scottish guy having
really?
some tribute made
Oh,
to him. I'm not
I,
quite sure what happened there, but there was a lot of whiskey drunk by me.
I think there may have been one or two hangovers that night. There were one or two kilts that were getting lower and lower as the night was going on.
Well, Arturo dancing in his kilt made it into the newspapers today.
All
I
right, I
was
didn't
just
see
flicking
that.
through and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, there's Arturo in a kilt in the national newspaper.
Excellent.
First time in my life, Bill.
Yeah.
In a skirt.
Maybe the only time, Arturo. Who knows, you know?
I'm officially being adopted by the clan McIntyre.
Yeah. Well, or,
Is it
I was
right?
going to call you McLopez, you know?
Well, then I will have my own kilt.
Yeah, you can get your own tartan design, you know.
I know, it was a great night. And I
It was,
have to say, Vicky took some tremendously good photos. She is seriously talented. I rarely ever get somebody ever takes a good photo of me, but wow, she is really very talented. She's something she should actually do if she ever wanted to.
well, she used to. That was one of her first careers, but was working for a photographer, and she did wedding photos and things like that in the
really?
past. Yeah. So
Wow.
she likes taking photos, but she likes taking natural photos
Yeah, that's
rather
what she
than
does really well.
what I
She's
call the
She's not like a fountain.
firing squad photos, you know, where everybody's in a line doing nothing, and she likes to catch people just a little bit, you know, when their attention's not
posy.
focused on the camera, and the photos come out really nicely with that.
Oh yeah, she did it. She did a brilliant job. I'm trying to book her for somebody. Actually, she did such a good job. So we'll have to speak about that afterwards.
Indeed.
But
Right. What have you guys got for us this evening?
okay, well, we're going to talk about a lot of things. First up, it's been a lot in a lot of the Costa del Sol newspapers is how much there has been an increase of foreign residents moving, especially on the coastline on Costa del Sol.
Right.
There's been a huge increase reported there. Sarah English reported that. And I found it very interesting between 2021 and 2022. I think it's 5.5%.
Right.
Benalmádena being number one, interestingly. But it seems that we are really attracting a lot of variety of foreigners. And I think that's really good news for the region.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I suppose it really depends. The profile of these people is going to depend on their nationality in many ways, because if they're European citizens or Norwegian, they can come here and work.
Yeah.
If they're British or various other nationalities, they can't work for the first 5 years, so they're likely more to be retired people coming out here. But
I hate to tell you this, but the Brits are still coming. And actually, I was talking about this with Arturo because not a lot of British people know that you can, he was dealing with his own clients, that you can obviously get a golden visa.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily have to be married. You were explaining that to me.
No.
You might want to explain that because a lot of people actually don't know that are British that want to move out here. They think that the 500,000 is per person. So I'll let Arturo explain that.
Well, basically, is that you can bring your husband, your children, and they are all over your golden visa, and they will have all their own residency card.
Right.
But I guess my point is that you don't necessarily have to be married. It can be your
Pareja de hecho. How do we translate that in
officially
factual relationship?
no,
Yeah,
a partner,
partner or common
Common
law,
law partner.
it could well be
A common
common law.
law partner. Okay.
Yeah,
In Spain, there is a law by which all this is ruled. There are some registries in every town hall,
right.
and it's like marrying. You have main of the rights and obligations and duties
Yeah,
of the couple, and basically it gives you the same rights in order to inheritance. There is
yes.
in order to, for instance, the golden visa.
Mm,
You are considered as if you were a husband or wife. So
So that's interesting, you know, especially
yeah,
people who are, for instance, you know, in the process of a divorce or they're separated, but they're living with their partner, they can come here.
yeah.
So it's a sort of a misnomer that the 500,000 is only for.
oh, excuse me, Lisa, you're introducing a very interesting thing. Could be considered bigamy if I am married, still not divorced, and then I do this uh,
Pareja de hecho.
factor
Yeah, that's a
pareja.
good question,
That's a good
actually.
question. I'm going to study that.
Really?
I,
Yeah. Okay.
I,
We'll come back. We'll come back to you on that one. Yeah.
are we talking a legal question here, Arturo? Or are we
Yes,
talking a
Yeah.
sort of
absolutely.
ethical, religious thing? I'm not very sure.
You know, I think you can. I would just. Well, now I'm assuming, so we'll have to ask the
Yeah,
guru about this. But I'm assuming if you're legally separated from somebody, then you can have an
It has
official partner.
very much
right.
sense of that.
Yeah,
I think the problem might come if you're actually still married and you haven't done anything about it. But that would just be my assumption.
yeah.
Well, in laws, it's better not to think only with common sense, which is what you're doing now
Yeah.
very well,
Uh,
but to check the laws, because some laws are really contradictory and even against the common sense.
Yeah.
So
so
let me
anyway,
check.
yeah, we'll check that and come back to you.
The, the, the,
Another.
the other thing though about the pareja de hecho, because I looked into this for someone, is actually at the end of the day, you have to present just about as many papers in just about as many translations for pareja de hecho as you do to get married.
Yeah,
So, especially if you're foreigners, you need all your birth certificates and all your various things all translated into Spanish, and there's just about as many papers to present for pareja de hecho as there are for getting married. Although, you know, obviously you don't need to present divorce papers and things if you've been married before, but it's quite a lot of paperwork still for people.
yeah. Anyway, another interesting story that I read this week, and this is, I don't know, this is quite controversial. There's a new development in Marbella, I believe it's called El Soto, and the community there are having terrible problems because in the community rules, you're not allowed to hang anything on your terrace.
Right.
As the article mentioned, again, it was actually in English. And the Spanish residents are a little bit pissed off, what I say, by the British uh, that have bought in this community, and they're really very absent and
Right.
absent. Yeah, and so the Spanish have took to putting their flags on their terraces. Yeah,
Right.
but the community then gave them a bit of a beating and said, no, you're not allowed to you're not allowed to hang anything on your terrace. But it's the Spanish flag and we're in Spain.
Yeah.
So this one woman, funnily enough, I remember her name because it's Arturo's last name as well, and all Lopez people are very difficult.
They're
Has
complicated.
decided what she has decided she's having none of it. She refuses to take her Spanish flag down on her terrace, and now the community, of which and obviously there's another side to the story because there's a British president, but it's going to come to probably end up in court. Most of them are taking their flags down, but I think there's probably a way to compromise around this rather than taking it so far. I would personally, this is my opinion, and I'll listen to both your opinions. I would let anybody able to have any flag that they want within perhaps a certain measurement be allowed to have it on their terrace. What do you
So,
think?
what are they doing? Are they getting a big flag and actually hanging it on the
No,
railings, on the
I think
railings, or just on a pole at the side of the
yeah,
flag or
I
so?
don't. It's not. There was no picture of the flag, and there was nothing
Right.
in the article that said how big it was.
Yeah.
But she's refusing to take it down, and I don't know. I just this is Spain, and her point is, this is my flag. It's not a rag. Those are her exact words.
Yeah.
I think she has the right to
Well,
do that. What do you think?
but Arturo, you will know more about this than I do. But communities, all communities are not the same, are they? But they do
No,
have some very similar rules. And
they have.
if you want to get a sunshade, told it has to be in a certain design or color. And there
Okay.
are things about not hanging things over the terrace because they want to keep a sense of uniformity, and people can't maybe glass in their terraces, and make some glassed in with sort of white aluminium and others with these glass curtains, and then the whole thing starts to look like a Lego set. Um, but the communities things are complicated, aren't they? And that's why I love not living
Yeah,
in
they
a
are.
community.
They
Yeah.
are. Don't
Oh,
forget that a community is the minimal expression of a political institution.
Sure.
They have, yes, it's like a small town. You have your neighbors, you have a president, you have an administrator, and every year there is a general meeting, and in the general meeting, sometimes some groups of neighbors decides the stranger of the things.
Right.
I remember one community, for instance, when do you remember when the air conditionings were these
Oh
big
yes.
blocks?
Yes.
Well, the first neighbors who puts these blocks in the facades, I remember quite well because I was a lawyer of some communities. They were sued by the community, and in
Right.
the beginning, the community won. In the beginning,
Hmm.
why? Because if the rule of the community is that you cannot touch the facade, you
Mm.
cannot put a specific materials, colors, different clothings. If the rule is applied, the community wins. So
Right.
in this case, the point is how is possible they have decided in the general meeting to avoid the neighbors to put to hang things in their terraces,
Yeah.
and specifically how they have decided not to put any flag. I mean, how is possible all that? I don't know. This
Yeah.
community seems to be a bit strange. There is a cold war between foreign people and Spaniards, perhaps. It
Yeah.
happens many times, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
Really.
not uncommon.
Right.
yeah. I mean, you know yourself, Bill, surely that you've seen quite a few community disputes. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you've seen probably hundreds in your lifetime now.
Well, people comes here to Spain, and they don't realize that this is the same as staying in a small village. You must take
Sure.
care of your neighbors. You must
Sure.
have a. I remember some communities in the area of El Faro. They used to organize every year a big party to let the neighbors to meet, to have a distress, to speak friendly about the issues of the community.
Right.
Others, they don't meet at all, and these desert
Yeah.
blocks you can see in winter, there's nobody in.
Sure.
So some communities has the neighbors they deserve.
Yeah, it just breeds ill will. I mean, and I'm sure the president of this particular community we're talking about, I'm sure that he or she has their own story. As
Yeah.
there is always another side. But I do think that as a president, you should try and breed goodwill, not ill will. And I really wouldn't want to make it into the newspapers on
Yeah.
that basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you see, I spend as much time as possible avoiding getting involved in neighbors' disputes in communities, whereas Arturo's looking for them because
No, no, the opposite, the opposite. 30 years ago, I accepted many annoying cases. For instance, this case of the air conditionings,
yeah.
because I disagree. Personally, I disagree with the community who was engaging me to sue the vendors. So I always try to find solutions, friendly
Right.
solutions. But nowadays, I don't think like that.
No.
I really think that a community is a much more important thing than just a colony of different neighbors. They must have a duty of becoming better and better neighbor. For instance, last time we meet here, I talked about the problems of the squatters. Again, we are in the same. The squatters appears because this community are not a town who defends itself. No, they are
Right.
fighting between each other, and this is not normal. They should come
Mhm.
here and try to uh, take the advantage of being different
Yeah.
nationalities, cosmopolitan people. They could enjoy a lot, and instead of that, what they do is to isolate themselves, neighbor from neighbor.
Right.
I don't understand.
And it's, it's very stressful. I don't know if you've ever fallen out with a neighbor. I have, and it's an
Oh
incredible.
yes.
I've managed to become friends with them again because basically it was causing me more stress than anything else. And
Absolutely.
honestly
Yeah.
couldn't stand it because
I
you see
yeah.
them all the time.
I think, in fairness, Arturo, that I do know some communities that are very close and
And others,
do look after each other.
yeah,
I know presidents of a number of communities
Mm,
around. I'm saying La Cala, not in La Cala necessarily, but
yeah,
around and about and into the urbanizations. And the neighbors do. The president lives here very often, and is round and about, walking around on a day-to-day basis, checking things and looking at what needs to be done. So yeah, I know it's people, isn't it? You put people together, and some are going to get on really well together, and some
yeah.
are going to fall out with each other. And I guess a community is just no different in that sense.
yeah.
Yeah, there's always going to be one asshole. Can I say that word?
You can say that word, yes.
I mean, there always is. Come on, there's
Yeah,
always one. Yeah,
yeah,
who's just completely, you're just lucky if you don't move next to them. Actually,
yeah.
where I live, I've got lovely neighbours. Anyway, going on to a much happier and sweeter story in
Go on.
Spain, which I read. I'm not sure if you read, and it's been a lot in the newspapers. We now have the oldest woman, and she's
Mm.
Spanish.
I saw that.
She was
Yes.
born in 1907,
Yeah, I
making
read
her
that.
115, and there's a Japanese lady right behind her. But this is what I found really incredible about this lady, and her name is. Hold on, I have to put my glasses on for that. Maria Brañas, and she was
Uh-huh.
born in America, and she grew up in Catalonia. The amazing thing about this lady is that she survived COVID at 113.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, hello, that's that's just incredible, no? I
It is, isn't
mean,
it?
what
Yeah.
a woman. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway,
Are you up for 115, Lisa?
no,
No.
no, no way I would want to live till that age. Not a hope.
No.
I've done too much partying and dancing in my life to live to that grand old age. I'm sorry. She was probably teetotal and didn't dance on tables, yeah.
Or perhaps not, it's the opposite. She's
Well,
very lively.
maybe she did. Yeah. Maybe
Well,
that
we
was her
don't know,
secret.
but I mean, would you like to live to 115?
I don't think so. No.
You wouldn't, would you?
I don't think, I think that once you are not good, to stay doing nothing is not interesting. If she is in good health, she can jump, she can continue dancing, she can go hiking with friends, then yes, more years, of course.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, I say shout out to Maria because wow, that's quite a feat. And
It is.
it's interesting that Spain is in first pole position with Japan not far behind. I really do reckon that it's very much to do with your diet.
Is the food.
I think so, Lisa. But I'm going to be controversial here and
Yeah,
say,
go
yeah,
on.
everybody knows the principle of the Mediterranean diet, and
Mhm.
I think most people would agree it's a very good diet. But I'm seeing fewer and fewer people sticking to the Mediterranean diet now. And if they were, we wouldn't have the levels of obesity that
Oh,
are being shown in, not just in Spain, but in most European and Western countries. And Spain's not doing much better than any other country. And I think that's because we're not sticking anymore, or Spaniards are not sticking anymore to the Mediterranean diet. They're getting into more and more
I agree.
processed foods and fast foods. And,
Then there is an extra thing. Is the joy of life.
right.
Could be.
What would you
Joie
mean?
de vivre.
When you live in a relaxed ambience with your family, with your friends, and doing things, I think that your body reacts, improving himself.
Yeah.
Could be.
Well,
Okay.
going back to your obesity theory, I mean, I saw this living in the States. I've never seen so incredibly morbidly obese people.
Sure.
And that has, and personally, I do believe that really sugary stuff that's mainly at the checkout aisle,
Yeah.
tempting you all the time.
Sure.
This stuff should really be heavily taxed because you should be you should be eating fruit. I mean, I'm not giving people a lecture here, but I mean, just for their 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 overall health, they should
Mm,
be grabbing an orange or an apple instead of a Mars bar. And this is the problem. Yeah, the Mars bar
yeah.
gives you a high, and I just think those sort of foods really need to be taxed and not made cheap. If perhaps
Sure.
they weren't so cheap.
Yeah, but Lisa, I've had conversations with people about this on my radio show, and we're seeing even in the supermarkets, you're seeing more and more processed foods. You
Yeah,
go and buy a hamburger in one of the supermarkets, and you think, oh, it's a hamburger. You look on the back of it, and I guarantee you there are at least five ingredients that you don't even know what they are.
no,
No.
It's we are moving away from I think home cooked fresh foods,
yeah,
and
yes,
part of that, Arturo, I think is the demands on people's lives now.
yeah,
How many young families can afford to have mum staying at home, taking the kids to school, coming back, doing all the
yeah,
work in the house, doing the shopping, doing the cooking. They're very often both parents are out working, so they're sacrificing very often, freshly cooked Mediterranean diet type foods for things that they can pick off the shelf in the supermarket.
yeah. I mean, when was the last time you made your own bread? I mean, I,
Well, I'm not eating bread now, but I used to make bread about once a month.
When the lockdown, perhaps.
Yeah, I made it all through lockdown, and
did you?
I really the thing is that if you make bread, it only lasts maybe about 3 to 4 days. It's not like the stuff you buy in the supermarket that it still looks the same 6 weeks after you buy it.
Talking about supermarkets, Bill, I've really I shop at Mercadona, so does Arturo. The prices have risen quite extremely.
They have.
Yes,
I
that
And
mean,
is.
I would
yeah.
say, I mean, what percentage would you say of a rise, on average, would you? It's just
Like
creeping
I'm
up.
going to tell you in price of bags. When I used to go for my weekly purchase at the
You're
supermarket,
shopping,
I
yeah,
used to spend around 60, 70 euros. And now it's always 100,
yeah.
So you say 40%,
Well,
Really?
yeah,
we've commented on
or
exactly
more.
the same thing that we don't
Mm.
go to Mercadona maybe once a month because there's certain things we want to get from there, but we never come away with less than 100 euros
Yeah,
in the bill now. And as you say, it used to be maybe 60, 70 euros. Now it's nearly always 100 or more.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I mean, that is in no way in a comparison to Britain, where we were recently, and it was £9.50 for a glass of wine in a pub. Oh, I'm still getting over that.
Yeah, but that
But
that
I think
that's
we're pretty lucky now.
That's taxation, though. It's nothing to do with the price of alcohol. It's the very high rates of taxation,
Mm.
and you tend to get that in countries that where this
Yeah.
excessive drinking takes place or problem drinking takes place. They think that they can price people out of their bad habits, and then what happens is they come to Spain on holiday and they go, "Oh my God, look at the price of that! I'll have two of those."
Yeah. And they don't, and I think you pointed this out before. They don't realize how strong the amount of alcohol you're giving here is, because the drinks
Yeah,
are far bigger. I mean,
absolutely.
mixers.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah. I mean, in the UK, it's either it depends on the individual establishments, but it's either 25 ml measure or 35 ml measure, depending on what they used to do in terms of a quarter gill and an eighth gill and things like this. So
yeah.
25 mils is like a tablespoon.
Yeah. Well, another news item that I thought that and I have to read this out to you. Another news item I thought that your viewers would be interested in, because I recently was booking a trip, and this is only recent, is that air traffic control, there are going to be air traffic control strikes. Now, the good news is we're all right, Jack, because it's not at Malaga.
All right.
They started on Monday, January 30th, and they'll run every Monday throughout February at the following airports. So if any of your viewers are watching, they're going to be striking at Alicante, Castellón, the smaller airport in Madrid, Cuatro Vientos, El Hierro, Fuerteventura, Ibiza, Jerez, Lanzarote, La Palma, Lleida, Murcia, Sabadell, Seville, Valencia, and Vigo.
All
So
right.
if,
So
if
that's
you're,
pretty much everywhere except Malaga.
well, yeah, I was like, because we're actually flying on a Monday, and
Sorry. Did you realize? Not Madrid Barajas, not Barcelona, not Bilbao, not Mallorca, not the main airports.
Right.
It seems second.
secondary airports.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But if anybody is traveling to any of those destinations via flight,
Yes.
and on top of that, I'm sure you know that Flybe has gone bust as well.
Yeah, there's also a Norwegian low-cost airline has gone bust as well.
Yeah.
We're talking to some Norwegians just the other day,
Oh,
and
really?
their family were due to fly out here, I think, next week,
Right.
and the airline has gone bust. They were told that they will get their money for the tickets back, but I guess they'll need to just stand in a queue with all the other debtors to see whether or not they get a refund. But they had to book with Norwegian Airlines instead, which cost them twice the price
Yeah.
of the flights that they had.
That is heartbreaking for people when
Yeah.
they've planned a holiday. I mean, that is just. I always try to actually fly with the national airline, because I know they won't go bust if I can, or a very well established airline. Now and again, I'll chance it, but yeah, it does seem quite a few of them are going bust. I think it's probably they've had a very hard time, obviously
Sure.
during COVID.
Sure.
But my next interesting questions for the two of you, and I think I'm quite sure on my position on this final question that I've got, is what do you guys think about Valentine's Day? Because it's coming soon, yeah, and poor old Arturo here has an anniversary on the 12th, my birthday on the 13th, and then Valentine's Day. So that's 3 in a row.
Arturo, that could be
Excuse me,
costly.
Bill, I start the first. I cannot answer that question because it will damage myself.
Yeah, that's the Fifth Amendment, isn't it?
Are you pleading the Fifth Amendment? Okay, so I was talking with Arturo today about, is Valentine's Day really a man-made invention?
A man made, a woman made.
Well, And then I sort of Wikipedia'd it because I knew that part of St. Valentine's remains, he was a third century Roman priest or
Yes.
bishop.
Was
Yeah.
it?
It was. Yes.
I thought it was a I thought it was a fake thing.
Yeah,
Because
No.
I
no,
read
No.
my
No. No.
no, and he, I think in the 8th century, Saint Valentine started to have his own feast day, so he was actually revered. And funny enough, he's the patron saint of other things like beekeepers and epilepsy. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here.
Okay. Yeah, I think the story of St. Valentine was that there was some ban on marriage, and he used to marry people in secret, and
Yes.
that's how the Valentine's Day celebrations. Well, that's really how they came about. But
I mean, he was. I found this interesting. His his skull is in an exhibition in Rome.
oh,
But
nice,
other relics of him, and I've seen it because I lived in Ireland, are in Dublin of all places. So a lot of
right.
lovers go there for Valentine's. But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is
It's an
that
Irish invention. It's not the point.
no, it goes back to the 3rd century. But I'm not. I'm thinking, yes, it's an American holiday that they're profiting out of it.
Yeah.
But we have so many days for so many different things. My argument is that you should have a day for love. What do you think, Bill?
I
Claro.
th- I think that every day should be a day for love.
Right answer. This is what I would like to say.
Very well said, but it still doesn't answer the question. Is it?
Thank you, Debbie.
Is it? Do you think that it's a forced or man-made holiday, or
No,
do you think
it's
do you think it has its
no,
place in the calendar
it's a
year?
cultural thing. But you see, one of the reasons I love my wife so much was right at the beginning when we got together. She had words with me, and she said, "If you ever book me a meal out on Valentine's night, I'm going to leave you."
Yeah, I know this.
Because
Yeah,
she's very much against being told when to do things. Oh, it's the 14th of February, so you've got to show how much you love your partner. And I don't know. I think it's quite sad if the only time people actually make that kind of declaration to their partners is on Valentine's Day. I think it's very sad.
yeah, no, I know, but you see, I do think that some men and women, not
Mhm.
just men and women, need to be jolted into, yeah, okay, I've got to consider this person, bring them flowers, get a nice card, treat them well. They don't have to. I agree with Vicky actually on that one. That you don't have
Eso.
to be
You
taken
don't
out
have
for an
to.
expensive
You must, as
dinner.
Bill said, you must think in your partner every day
Yeah,
with a small detail, with something, and then perhaps some Valentine's comes and you didn't prepare anything, you didn't buy
yeah,
her a gift or nothing. It
yeah.
doesn't matter. I gave it to you yesterday, darling.
No, we're very boring.
Well, I'm
We,
still
we,
not there.
we don't really celebrate birthdays. We don't celebrate Christmas. We usually remember our wedding anniversary 2 days after it's passed. We
Really?
don't
Well,
celebrate Valentine's Day, so
No.
we're really a bit odd, I think.
You know what? And
you're very lucky, Bill.
you're in direct contravention to myself
Uh-huh.
because I'm an absolute birthday bunny. I mean, I love people's birthdays. I love to celebrate people. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I've always been like that. So
Uh,
yeah, we're complete opposites then.
yeah, well, when I had my 60th birthday, Vicky said, What do you want to do?" Because people would expect, oh, big party and whatever. So we
Hmm.
actually went away for the weekend.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
well, I mean, I agree with
and
that.
we just spent it on our own in Monda Castle. So,
Oh yeah, it's lovely there
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Monday,
and
I've
it's
been
not
there.
far away, but it meant that we didn't have to get caught up in the whole sort of birthday party things. And I get embarrassed if people come to a birthday party, they expect to bring presents, and I don't need anything, so I don't need presents and people spending their money on presents and things. And so we just went away for a couple of days, and let it pass nice and quietly.
Well, I am with you on that. I mean, I think that if any money should be spent, it should be spent traveling, because that's really the essence of life, is discovering new places. No,
Yeah.
so
Lynn says she thinks it's important to celebrate every birthday, Valentine's, etc., because life is short, and let the bubbles flow.
well, yeah. If
I think that's
that's
fair enough.
I actually know Lynn. She's a personal and wonderful Irish friend of mine, and a brilliant golfer to boot. And she is like me. We love celebrating.
Yeah,
Lynn. So hello, Lynn, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon. I haven't seen you for a while. She's a lovely lady. Yeah,
yeah.
and she agrees with me. So that's even better.
Well, she must be right if she agrees with you, Lisa.
Sorry.
She must be right if she agrees with you.
Well,
Go
anyway.
for some water.
Yeah. So anyway, Bill, I just kind of wanted to finish up and ask you how
Mm.
your campaign is going, and what is the exact day of the election in May?
Okay, the date of the election is the 28th of May.
Oh, it's the
So
28th.
yeah, so we're past the time for everyone now who wants to register. So if you're not registered,
Yeah.
hard luck. There is a sort of timetable for things. And I think from round about for a week around about the 11th of April, I'd need to check the date. It is possible to check to make sure that you're on the voters roll. And I think that there is, after that week, that there is an opportunity. If someone says that they've actually registered and they haven't appeared, there is an opportunity for them to make an appeal to get their name onto the voters roll. So that's round about the second week in April.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, I'm voting here in Fuengirola, and I have to say, I don't know if you know the mayor of Fuengirola here, but
yes.
I have to say that they're doing a pretty decent job. Fuengirola is kept very clean. I don't have a lot of issues with who's currently in power at the
Sure.
moment. So it's
I
more,
didn't know, I tell you fast. Since 1990, the Partido Popular, and yes, the town
Yes.
has improved a lot in these
it
Yeah.
really
in
is
these
very,
years.
yeah, it's kept
Yeah.
it's kept very clean. They're very vigilant.
Mhm.
The police are very vigilant. Obviously, there's crime here because this is Fuengirola, but I mean, they keep
Yeah.
the beaches very nicely. I mean, we can't really, like, you can't complain really in
No.
Fuengirola, can
No.
you? I mean, you don't see a lot of, dogs mess or nothing. Like, they really clean it very, very well. So I'm happy. I'm happy, certainly, but I'll be voting in Fuengirola, not in Mijas. So I think it's important for people who are living in Mijas to actually to actually go and make their vote, make sure that they're in Mijas so that they have a say in
Yeah.
their vote.
That's all I would. But Vicky, someone called Vicky Anderson. I'm not very sure who she is, but I'm sure she's very nice. Follow your joy wherever it may be. Yeah, I don't want to turn these live streams into political shows, and obviously, what I'm really interested in is that, well, first of all, people were getting registered, and
Yeah,
secondly, that they actually turn up to vote.
yeah,
And what decision they make is up to them.
yeah,
They need to decide, who do they know, who do they trust, who are the people who have answered their questions, who are the people who've responded and gone out to see them and things like that. In my opinion, these are the people that they want to be running their council, not the ones that have ignored them for 4 years.
yeah,
So, I think people, and also policies, obviously, what are the parties proposing to do? And, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for people to find out what the proposals are from the various parties.
yeah, yeah,
But I really just want to see people getting involved in the process. And yeah, I'd love to say, yeah, but I'll be on the PP list, but vote for me. But that's their decision, you know. And if they don't feel that my role has been useful, then, well, forget it. But if they feel it has, then the voting system in Spain is it's literally just a numbers game. It's numbers, 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 and more numbers. It is based on it's a French system called the D'Hondt system.
Called what?
D'Hondt, D'Hondt.
Yeah.
It's a French system. It's a kind of proportional representation,
Right.
and basically, the more votes you have, the more councillors you have. So, for example, the PP in 2019, if I can just see this, had around. Let me just see. Yeah, the PP had round about 9,000, just over 9,000 votes, and that got them 9 councillors. And if they had got 12,000 votes, then they probably would have had 13 councillors, which would have been the majority. It's all about numbers.
How many people actually voted in the last one?
About 57%, I think, turnout.
How many? Do you know how many actual people?
No, my mathematics is crap.
I can supply you some figures. It seems that from the 3,000 foreign people that in the 2019 elections could vote, only 1,000 did it.
Yeah.
1,000 from 3,000.
Yeah, but it's even worse than that, Arturo, because there were around about 12,000 foreigners who could have registered to vote, and only 3,000 registered. Only 3,000 registered out of about 12,000. And then of those 3,000 who registered, only a third of them actually turned up on election day.
How did it happen this year, Bill? Because if I remember well, last Tuesday was the last day for European residents to get the inscription.
That's right.
Do we know the numbers? How many?
No, we don't, because the thing is, previously people used to register at their town halls, and we could get a reasonable idea of how many people had registered. But this time, the INE, the National Institute for Statistics, that organise all of this, have offered like 3 or 4 different ways for people to register. Some with digital certificates were able to do it online, some with a code, some by sending a letter just by free post back, and then others by going into the town hall. So we have no way at the moment of knowing how many people have actually registered. There's been too many different possibilities for how people could register, so it's really hard to say. I think until around about the 7th or 11th of April, when the voters' rolls are published, they're not published to public scrutiny, but they are available. I don't think we'll know exactly how many people have registered until around about that point.
But we know already the day for the 28th.
Yeah, 28th.
Well, then the message is clear. All the residents must know that whatever they do in their lives, whatever family, how far they are, around the 28th of May, they must be here to vote.
Yes.
And then they can make a real difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the problem here you've got is what we call voter malaise. Yeah. And this, I think a lot of, democracies, I think that there lies the problem, and people don't realize that their vote really does count. Yeah.
But of course it does. And I think that the voter malaise is probably less within the Spanish community and more within the international community.
Do you think? Yeah.
I think so, because if less than 1,000 foreigners out of about 12,000 actually voted, I mean, it works out around about 8%. Now, we had 57% turnout, so it was the majority of people who were voting were Spanish residents. What we need to do, what I think we need to do, and I was on with Nicole King yesterday, we foreigners, and I'm going to call us foreigners for once, we need to stop being apologetic and saying, oh, we shouldn't say too much or do too much because we're guests here in Spain. No, we're not guests here in Spain. We are not guests. When guests come to your house, Lisa, do they pay to stay at your house? No, they don't.
Mm.
Guests
Yeah.
stay for free.
No, I mean I'm a resident here. I'm
Yeah.
not a guest.
No, but
No.
that's right. Guests stay for free. We don't live here for free. We pay our taxes. We pay our local taxes. Our taxes when we buy our houses, when we buy our cars,
Absolutely.
when we're working, we pay our income taxes. No, I'm sorry. We're not visitors. We're not guests. Let's make some demands. Let's make some demands. Let's say no, no, no. I'm not happy with you just deciding for me. I'm going to make my
But
decisions.
I completely agree.
Completely. I mean that this message is past. The point is not anymore that the residents, because I consider myself a resident. I consider that the Costa del Sol
Yeah,
is a different area of Spain. We are plenty of cosmopolitan people. My mother, for instance, is French, and most of my friends has roots or other nationalities.
yeah,
The point is that the citizens has lost the sense of duty
Yeah.
in understanding that we have only 2 or 3 moments of public life, and one is the election, and it doesn't count to say, "Oh, I couldn't vote because I was on holiday in South France." No, you
no,
must be
no,
here the last week of May and vote, and
yeah,
then there will be a difference. Absolutely.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Arturo, Lisa, I
Yeah.
think I think we've probably come to about the end of
Yes.
the stream.
Lovely as always. We covered a lot of different subjects today,
Indeed.
Bill.
And thank you once again for organising the Burns night and tribute last week. It was a great night.
Yes, we enjoyed a
And
lot.
Yeah.
uh,
First time in my life with a proper kilt.
a proper kilt, yes, indeed.
Well, it was
Okay,
great
guys,
fun. I'll say,
it was a lot of fun.
I'll say bye bye to all your viewers and thanks for having us on, Bill, as always.
Okay, you take care, both of you, and well,
Thank you, Bill.
we'll see you around soon.
You
And
will.
it's
Bye
almost the
bye.
weekend, folks. So have a great weekend when it comes. And I'll be back next week at 7 o'clock with Daniela from Sitio de Calahonda. Take care, everyone.